Hello, Fall Obsession family. This is Pro Staffer Heather Sellons, and we're gearing up for another couch chat. But clearly you can see I'm in the middle of a river right now. And in Michigan, fall means whitetail hunting and salmon and steelhead fishing. Now, I'm in the Pere Marquette River, which is about an hour and a half north of where we live. And the salmon and steelhead haven't quite made it to this part of the river yet. But what's still here are brown trout. It is our hope tonight that we can practice some of the cool things that we learned from Heath and Tyler while we were down at Lake Taneycomo and see if we can land some browns for ourselves. So welcome back, Fall Obsession family. As I said earlier, we were brown trout fishing in the Pere Marquette, and I'm going to give you a little update on how that went.
We didn't catch a single thing.
Nothing.
We did have a nibble, though. We got one nibble.
We got one nibble, and there was one jumping.
A couple of them jumping, actually.
Yeah, right off the, like 6 feet from me. Mm-hmm. Only lost one hook, so kind of proud of that, but overall, we had an absolute blast. Piper was out there with us and trying to fish offshore. Todd and Piper stayed offshore, and then I hit up a couple of different spots with the waders on.
Yeah, so Heather walked out into the river. So the thing that you have to understand is that the Pere Marquette River here in northern Michigan, and we are in northern Michigan, so Sam is probably jealous that we're sitting here in long sleeve. It's a cool 60-degree day, so not only are we trying to fish, but now we're starting to get that sense of bow hunting is right around the corner. It certainly feels like a nice early fall day. So at any rate, the Pere Marquette River here in Michigan it's not as big as what we experienced in Missouri with Lake Taneycomo. Lake Taneycomo was wide enough to be able to take, and deep enough to be able to take pontoons up and down, for example. Pere Marquette is not. You have to, there are places that you're going to walk because it's so shallow. There's some places, as you can see, I don't know if on the film, that Heather stepped into a couple holes and they were pretty deep. So
yeah, they were pretty deep, and I also got caught in some tree roots when we were there. And I'm 5'7", so I'm not overly tall. And when you're trying to go into a river and waders and you're not very tall, it can get a little tricky, and it did. I got caught a couple times. There's a specific spot I always go in, and I tried something different, and I learned my lesson. So I will not be going back in that spot. So
also with the Pere Marquette, it's timing is everything. Like with anything, with fishing, hunting, timing is everything, and so. I don't think the browns are running right now. We're right on the edge of the salmon run here through this part of the river, the Pere Marquette, and then also steelhead. And if you're not familiar with steelhead are just a larger form of a rainbow trout, and they run frequently here in the fall. And they're right on the edge of coming through this area. Browns are a little more active in the spring, so we wanted to take what we learned at Lake Taneycomo with Tyler and Heath and apply it to the Pere Marquette just to see if we could have some kind of success. And so, again, we had a nibble, but we really didn't land any or catch any fish. So it's going to be curious, or we're curious as to what's going to happen in the spring when the browns are out here, when the browns are running the river using those same techniques that we learned down in Missouri. So,
but I think you bring up a really great point of one of the things we love about Fall Obsession is, and all the people that we've networked with. When we joined, we were really excited to network, to learn from other people, to try different things, try things that we're not comfortable with, step out of our comfort zone. And this is a perfect example of that. And being able to kind of transition into some different niches that we never saw ourselves doing.
Yeah. We're kind of wrapping up our summer here. It's Labor Day today. Tomorrow we get back to school, and this stretch between Labor Day and Thanksgiving is the longest stretch that we have as educators, and it's a grind. It's the most fun stretch because you have a lot of different things going on. You got hunting season starting. You have whitetail. You got goose. You got ducks. You got all kinds of birds. woodcock. Yep, we can get out.
Salmon and steelhead fishing.
Salmon, steelhead fishing. You can go out, shoot some squirrels. You can shoot rabbits. So pretty much everything is in play starting from this point forward. So you have a lot of diversity in your hunting that you can do. Also, from our standpoint as coaches and being part of athletics, football is the best time of the year. Football, Michigan football in particular. That's for you, Michael. Big Ohio State fan. I still love Michael, though.
Yeah, we do. We don't hold it against him. But going back to what we said, I'm going to ask you, Todd, what have been some of the biggest takeaways? You've been part of Fall Obsession since, was it 2018 now?
2018. So
2018. What has been some of the biggest takeaways and things that you learned and loved, and maybe some frustrations that you had along the way in learning how to post good content? Just what are some lessons that you've learned?
Well, initially when we got involved in Fall Obsession, the goal was to meet people. Like Heather said, we wanted to network. We wanted to meet people. We wanted to develop relationships with others who shared our passion of the outdoors, to be able to travel across the United States, in Canada, Mexico, all over the world, really, to, again, develop those relationships and be able to have opportunities that we wouldn't have had if we weren't part of such a great organization like Fall Obsession. And from that time, it certainly has become true. We've developed that family concept. We've really, we have, staffers all over the United States, up into Canada. So we have staffers all over the North American continent. And really, anytime you meet a new staffer, it's that same type of feeling. We're one big family, and we'll do anything we can to help each other learn. And so really, that's really what our focus of this summer was, just to learn and get involved, really, since the snow goose hunt. We've never snow goose hunt before. We learned how to snow goose hunt this year.
We clearly don't know how to brown trout fish either.
So we're still learning that. So going along with the podcast, Sam was on the podcast this morning, and he talked about it's a huge learning process. And if you look at some of the questions that we get from viewers as well, one of the big things that they talk about is, how do you make yourself a better hunter? You make yourself a better hunter by learning. It's not grabbing a weapon and going out in the woods, sitting and shooting something. It's learning about that weapon. It's learning about the environment. It's learning about the game. It's learning about what they do in terms of, their patterns. It's learning about their habitat. It's learning about, like I said, the environment. Deer hunting in Michigan is is a lot different than deer hunting even in southern Illinois, for example. It's a lot different than hunting whitetail in Texas. It's a lot different than hunting whitetail in Colorado or out west somewhere. And so you really have to do your homework. And not only that, but you got to really prepare in terms of shooting your weapon, getting to know your weapon. We have a new staffer that just came on, Tony from Indiana, and we were trying to connect to set up an interview. And one of the things that he kept talking about was, I'm going on an elk hunt. I really got to prepare myself. And so I have to go on my run to make sure that my endurance is up to be able to take those long hikes chasing the elk herd. And so that's a big thing that we've done. And that's a big thing that we focused on from the time that we became involved in Fall Obsession, is learning as much information. I mentioned this in the podcast. As teachers, we're constantly trying to absorb as much information as we can. And then we take that knowledge and share it with others. That's our passion. That's what we love to do. And then let those other people develop their own philosophies and their own way of figuring things out based on some of the information that we share with them. And I
really like what you just said with that, is being able to develop your own style and how you do things and make it your own. I think that's really important, especially as we kind of like bounce back to the brown trout fishing, is, there's going to be people on there that are like, oh my gosh, why'd they do it? Sometimes you just have to learn for yourself and take those tips and tricks and things that you've learned from other people and figure out a style that works for you. I second what you said of, just being able to get to know everyone around and the family atmosphere, being able to bring our kids and introduce our kids to a lot of these people and integrate our families, especially when you have young children. You don't really want to be away from them, especially, as a working mom. I'm gone from my kids, 9-10 hours a day. I'm lucky that my kids can come to school with me, and I'm very thankful for that, and in the same district. But I'm still away from them a lot.
Yep.
And to be able to, when we do go take a trip, to be able to bring them with us and have those experiences with them. Our oldest just is finished hunter safety, so we're really excited. She gets to go on her first
hunt.
Yeah.
Yep, next weekend, next Saturday, we're gonna head out.
Yeah, so she is excited about that. We're actually, when we leave here, she's gonna go and head back home. We're gonna practice shooting the gun.
Practice shooting, get it all sighted in, and get her ready to go next Saturday.
She's very nervous about shooting the gun. She's not very comfortable with that, and it was a really great opportunity for her and I to talk yesterday or last night. And I said I had a lot of the same feelings. Like, I wasn't brought up around guns. I'm still much more comfortable with my bow, but the goose hunt definitely helped with that, and making me more comfortable. And that it's okay to be nervous, and to want to make sure that you're handling the gun. So we're going to get some shots off of that quite a bit over this next week. And she does have a big horse show coming up. Both of them do Friday and Saturday.
Yep.
And so I think we're going to do Saturday morning, because she can go in a little bit later for the horse show, and then Sunday.
And she has the opportunity, like most of you guys know, that with the youth hunt, it usually starts before the prime hunting time. And so she does have that opportunity to get out there before a lot of hunters start pressuring the deer in the woods, and to get an opportunity at something. But that doesn't mean her hunting season is over with. It just gives her a chance to get out there a little earlier than others. So she'll continue to be a part of the hunting season, even after the youth season begins. Now, looking at the weather forecast, it looks like it's supposed to get pretty warm next week again. So, and again, here in Michigan, like many other places, if it's warm, deer don't move as much. Or if you do harvest, you got to take care of it right away. And
all the corn's still standing by us.
All the corn is still standing. They haven't cut the corn yet. Typically, they cut it around mid to end September. Michigan actually moved the youth hunting season up to the beginning of September now, which is pretty cool, because she might have an opportunity to shoot a buck in velvet, which is something that we've always wanted to do, but I never had an opportunity. So that would be really cool if she was able to harvest a buck in velvet. But because the corn is still standing, kind of limits where our hunting, where we can hunt, because we set a lot of our stands up along the cornfields, along the edge of the where the food is. So
how many stands do we have up right now?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About
I was thinking 6.
5. Yeah, I think we got 5 stands up on about 80 acres. So
yeah, and we will have essentially 2 that she'll be able to hunt out of right now.
Right now, because the corn's up.
And that's something that we're learning. This is our first time having, a kiddo in the youth hunt. And she did not want to do hunter safety until really threw it on us
this year.
2 months ago.
Yeah,
it's probably about 2 months ago.
Surprise. We've always asked her, and she wanted to do it, but when it came down to it, she decided she wasn't ready to. And as we were preparing, I think we were preparing to go down to Indiana, right?
Yes. Yep.
I think we were going down to Indiana for the bow fishing trip, and she all of a sudden sprung it on us. Hey, I want to take hunter safety. Are there any classes or any sportsman's club? And we found one.
Yeah, and honestly, timing was perfect, because you were able to take her the Sparta Sportsman's Club. They did it. It was Monday,
Wednesday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, and Todd got to take her and sat with her, and he still just raves about how well they did
a great job. They did a great job.
And she came home excited, and that's all we can ask, and be excited for to watch this experience. I mean, it's fun for us to go out, but it's a whole new level. And we've heard it, but until you experience it, watching your own kid go, whether it's catching their first fish, or getting their first deer. Although she can field dress a whitetail like a champ.
Pretty darn good.
Yeah, there's only a couple little things that he has to help her with, and it makes my life a lot easier, especially when he gets a deer during basketball season, and I come home late from basketball and I'm exhausted. Man, those kids are out helping him field dress it. It's fantastic.
And
Piper's coming along with it too.
Yeah, she's developed a comfort level, a better comfort level, and I think seeing her sister just jump right in and do it,
Yes.
that's, it's different than me asking her to help out. She sees Sissy do it, so now she's willing to jump in
Yep.
and do stuff. So
Yeah, and Piper's definitely the kiddo that whatever she sees big sister do, she wants to do, and she wants to do it better. And so yeah, it's not surprising that she jumped in.
No,
They actually get very angry if a deer is field dressed and they're not allowed to be part of it. It's very frustrating
very
for them.
frustrating. Yeah. We actually had a friend, I think I told the story before, a friend come out hunting last year, and I had both Tala and Piper in the blind with me, and I ended up shooting a doe, and
Yep.
I wanted to get the doe field dressed fairly quickly because I didn't want to hold my friend up,
Yeah.
after the hunt. And I started to cut, and Tala threw an absolute fit. So my friend said, "Well, let's see Tala, let's see her do it." And so he was pretty impressed with how quickly she got that thing field dressed, and we got it hung in the garage. So
yeah, and she wants to be a vet, so she what's cool too is after she field dress it, she'll go through and she'll identify all the organs and find where it was shot. And they've gone on quite a few tracking things with us, not quite as
not as much, because typically when we seem to shoot deer on our property, it seems like it's always last light. So we're out there with flashlights. You give the half hour or hour time afterwards for them to expire, but we're always out there in the dark, it seems like, and so we got all these flashlights, and you're almost crawling on the ground looking for blood at times. And so but
they did actually go out with us more when they were little, because obviously we couldn't leave them in the house. And so there was quite a few times that I was helping you track the day we brought Tala home. And first time Mom won't do that. That was awful. But then we had often we had them in the front pack. I had Piper in the front pack looking for deer. Or I used the hiking backpack a lot. That worked really well. That way I knew where Piper was. I didn't have to worry. I don't think I put Tala in the hiking backpack much.
And now it seems like because they're older, we give them a choice whether they want to come out or not. And typically when it's dark, they're at that time of night, they're getting ready for bed and getting ready for the next day, because that always seems to happen during the weekday when we have to get up early the next day as well.
Well, they stay inside until the deer comes up. So we track it. Usually I get a phone call, "Hey, get flashlights, I need you over here now." And so I take off, they get ready because they know what's coming, and then they they'll go out with him as soon as he comes back, and then I'll get the rest of the stuff ready.
And if it's daytime, they come running out right away. And so they're more than willing to help during the daytime. So with the start of hunting season, goose season started on the 1st of September.
We might be trying that this year. At home.
Yeah, we learned a lot from Andy and Tyler on the snow goose hunt, and so we might get after some honkers. We've never done it before, but
they come in.
It's funny because I was texting the group yesterday, and I happened to come across bag limits for Canadian geese, which are the honkers, versus snow goose, blue goose, and Rossies. The bag limit per day on Canadian geese in Michigan is 5. Whereas snow goose, blue goose, and Rossies, it's 20. I thought that was kind of weird, because as you're sitting in your stands, there are Canadian goose everywhere. I mean, you see, 100 a day. And I've never really paid attention, I guess, to see if we had snow goose around the area, or if we had blues or Rossies. I guess I've never really paid attention. And so if you look at the bag limit would suggest that there are more snows, blues, and Rossies versus Canadian. And I thought that was funny because I see a ton of Canadian every time I go out. And so.
We've had them land right by the house. They're in the field, and normally they land in the field right after. It's during deer season, so our focus is on
whitetail.
On the whitetail, so we don't want to shoot a goose and then scare off
start burgering up the property.
The whitetail.
Whitetail away.
But I think we might have to try it. Like I said, step out of our comfort zone. Both of us will have to try to remember to load our gun.
Yes, that's a key element for those of you that want to hunt. It's really important to put a bullet in the chamber. We learned
Yeah.
that firsthand.
Yes.
Firsthand.
And it's really important not to yell at your wife when she screws it up, because karma will come back to you an hour later.
And it's really important to have Tyler on your side, because
Yes.
he will. Tyler, I'm anxious to see Heath on Snow Goose.
Oh, I'm excited too.
Boy, Heath is a quiet guy, but oh my goodness, he's
don't give him a fishing pole.
Don't give him
He'll
a
limit
fishing
out and
pole
like
or a bone in his hand after a carp. He certainly showed us, his skills in fishing and getting after carp.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what he can do with snow geese. Tyler might have a challenge on his hand.
He might. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I am really looking forward to that snow goose. I'm really looking forward to the crane hunt in Texas. That's during a time period Heather won't be able to go. So, and other staffers, I mean, it's right during Christmas time. And so understandably other people are busy. And so, you had talked about what is one of the things I'm disappointed about. One thing that I look back, I'm disappointed. The only thing I'm really disappointed about is I can't see you guys. I can't see our fellow fall session staffers as much as we would like. I mean, there's certain periods during the time, but man, we always want to get together with you guys and hang out.
That is the one thing when you have a country or a company that is countrywide, and we've been able to connect with the Midwest group very often because it's so within driving distance.
But to get out to Pennsylvania and down to Georgia, and I mean, that's still certainly a goal of ours.
Well, even to go out and see Tim out west.
Colorado,
I would love to go to Colorado for the pheasant hunting, but it's tough. And I think, as we kind of navigate now different opportunities that we have, being able to find things that fit into our schedule has been the next unique challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
We teach in 2 different school districts, and we have a little bit different Christmas vacation. And he's actually able to go on the crane hunt where I've got exams, and it's basketball season for me. So it doesn't work in there. I'm super excited for the group that's going, and I can't wait to
hear the stories.
Hear the stories. Yeah. And I know it'll be a great time, but it doesn't work into my schedule. But we are trying to figure out how to get over to Minnesota because Drew promised me a pheasant hunt out there. Yeah. So
Andy and Drew, and Drew, by the way, Piper said the popsicle challenge, it's on, and she said she's going to take you down. Just throwing that out there.
I thought she said she already won it and there's no rematch.
Oh, she told me that she was going to take him down.
Oh,
she said
the competitive piece came back up.
Drew can't beat her in popsicle eating.
Actually, we had to hide the microphones when we were down in bow fishing down with Delaney. She did not want to put a microphone on and do a little clip. And now all she wants is to have a microphone on and to be on a podcast and to be on a couch chat. And she's obsessed with it right now.
So moving forward, what are your goals for upcoming seasons? I know we have, like I said, we've started goose season already. We got bird season starting, I believe, on the 15th of September.
Yep.
Youth season next weekend on the 10th. And then we also have early doe season at the end of the month. Which leads right into archery season. So what are your goals? What do you want to do? What do you hope to accomplish?
My goals, number 1, be able to get Tala on a deer. I think that's a top priority. And then I think for me personally is getting our bird dog out on a wild bird and being able to do that. Just haven't had last season with me changing jobs, I did not hunt nearly as much as what I would have liked to. Things are definitely evened out. Got her and ran her a little bit in the woods yesterday. Gonna probably do it a little bit more before we come home. So being able to get to do more bird hunting with her. She's a 3-year-old Vizsla. She is a Spitfire. She's sassy. She's fiery. But I'm excited to see what I was out in the woods with her last night by myself, and there's just certain things that she's just starting to, you can see the maturity in her starting to come about. And I'm excited for the next few years of hunting with her and what she's able to do. I've been told with with Visla is that like the first 3 years are can be super tough with them. And and don't get me wrong, I adore that dog. She is the sweetest thing, but she's a maniac and a machine out in the woods. And so to be able to get her out and to have that maturity and to be able to really go after and tackle some of these birds, I'm excited. So
I am too. Yeah, I am too. So if you guys actually want to see Remy, we did a segment with her on one of the off-season series. I can't remember exactly what season it was. Maybe season 2 of the off-season series. Maybe even season 1. You just guys got to kind of go through the different episodes. But we got here just before we went into quarantine, and then we had to wait until we were able to start moving again.
Yeah, she was born just before
everything
COVID. Yeah, just before shutdown, and then she actually were able to go get her when things started to finally open up again. And it's been kind of a cool process with her because we are not bird hunters to start with. And that February for Todd's birthday, I had taken him. I didn't know what to get him, and I found a hunting preserve and was able to book a guided trip with
some pheasants.
Pheasants, yeah, for pheasants.
Pheasants, yeah.
And it
kind of spurred something.
Yeah, it spurred something, and I realized
interest.
Yeah, it was in February. We really didn't have anything going on, and I like to move. I'm always moving, and so to be able to, and I love to hike, and that's kind of how I viewed like the bird hunting is like I was out hiking. I didn't have to be as quiet. I could move around. We could have some conversation, and we got done, and we're like, we need a bird dog, and talking to some friends, we ended up. It was hard to find puppies at that time because everyone was, quarantine was starting to happen and things were shutting down and everyone wanted dogs. So, and she was the perfect breed for what we wanted with hunting and getting into it. And we're very fortunate. I don't have the time or the knowledge to train her myself. I love to run her. When I go out in the woods, I generally don't even have a gun with me. I have people with me with the guns, but my whole focus is on her.
To be the dog handler.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
And especially with as difficult sometimes as she can be. Not difficult. Difficult's the wrong word. Just
she's a little energetic.
Yes, that would probably be it.
Energetic. Yeah.
She is very energetic and gets really excited. And so for me to be able to just have my complete focus on her, but it's fun to watch her work. It's been fun to watch her mature. It's crazy how energetic she gets, but even at such a young age, when she found a bird, she would like creep. Just absolutely like creep up to it, and to watch that natural instinct. But yeah, bringing her up to, we got her from Westwind Kennels, Mike and Val up there, and Karen's, their daughter's been a great resource for us as well because we didn't know what we were doing. And Val and Mike did the training with her, and we brought her up for some refreshers. And I'm excited to eventually get her on woodcock or grouse.
Yeah.
I think grouse is my ultimate dream. But it's trying to fit hunting grouse into our schedule it's definitely more difficult.
It's kind of challenging. Yeah. So we'll have September, but even in September we have, like I said, deer hunting. We'll start doing all that stuff. When we get home this week, we're going to start really focusing on getting some stands set up, particularly the ones that we can hunt with the corn still up. Once the corn comes down, it's full throttle. We're going to start getting all the stands set up. We'll start really prepping for, and doing some cutting of branches, because you get that summer growth that kind of impedes some of your shooting lanes and stuff like that. So we'll do some trimming and stuff like that, but and we'll be ready to go by October 1st. So
yeah, and we've been very lucky. We've had a very significant rainfall this year, and there were some times that got a little sketchy, but the growth of the trees and the shrubs has been insane this year.
Yep.
So yeah, we do have a lot of trimming that needs to be done.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. So moving forward, my goals are simply just to continue to learn. I've never crane hunted, sandhill crane hunted before.
Yeah.
So that'll be a new learning experience for me. And then going back to Missouri for the snow goose hunt, I can take what I learned last year and apply it. And we already talked about the fact that if we have a chance, maybe we'll get after some Canadian geese here and take what we learned as well and see if we can get some honkers on the ground. But just continue to learn and then share that knowledge with other people. The coolest thing was my brothers, Jeff and Kevin, they got a hold of me yesterday and we're talking about they served in our military and unfortunately they were injured while they're in the military, and so they have some extra benefits in terms of being a disabled vet, but they're able to get licensed this year for the first time. And they explained to me that watching us on Fall Obsession really started to spur their interest in hunting again. They used to hunt quite a bit when they were younger, but as they got older and all the responsibilities that they had kind of took over and they weren't able to get out as much. So
actually was it last year or 2 years ago, we gave Jeff a deer.
Yep. We donated a deer to him. Yep.
Because we had really met our limit.
Yeah, we tagged out, and we have one more tag left.
Yeah, we had
freezered out.
Freezered out is the best one. We still had plenty of tags that we could have used. But it was we just looked and we're like, we don't have enough, and we thought we had a place that was going to, and then they decided that they didn't want it, and so now we've got this deer going. Oh my goodness, like we're not and that's a big thing with us, we don't waste it. So yeah, he took it and loved it, so that was I'm excited to have both of them out.
So we're gonna teach them a little bit about hunting the Cedar Ridge farm. So the other thing that we have a 300-acre lease down in Indiana. I'm super excited to see what happens down there.
He's got some beautiful bucks that have come on camera.
With the quality deer that have been coming on camera. One thing that we've noticed since quarantine is it seems like there's more pressure around our home here in Michigan. And so deer hunting the last couple years has become a little more challenging. And so we started looking beyond, where can we go to find a place where we can sit, relax. The deer aren't as pressured. They have quality deer, and have that experience. And we found this place through Midwest Woodlots down in Indiana, and Captain Dave. We did a segment with Captain Dave, and we went on walleye fishing. We went through Captain Dave and found a couple of really nice leases, and ended up with a 300-acre combined. So we have 250 acres that we're leasing. So that gives us plenty of opportunity to not only deer hunt but also turkey hunt.
Yes.
And like I said, the quality of bucks that we've been getting on film, I am super excited to get down there and see what happens. My focus up here in Michigan, my goal for deer hunting this year in Michigan is just fill the freezer.
Yep.
Take as many does as we can. If we have a quality buck and I get a crack at it, that's fine.
But we don't have to.
But we don't have to. If I get a buck, it might be a smaller buck. It just depends on what's going on, because I try to balance the herd. I try to look at, the number of deer that are taken in our area, and I try to balance it out, 3 does to 1 buck. And so even to the point where we live right next to the highway, okay, there's a doe hit on the highway, so that's 1 doe that's taken out of the area. The hunter across the street, he shot a doe, so there's 2 does. Our neighbor down the road shot a doe, so that's 3 does. So now I can go after a buck. Well, if there's isn't a buck that I want, then I'll shoot another doe. And if it gets to a point where we have too many does that we're starting to take, then I'll start looking at taking.
We have plenty of does around.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll start looking at taking bucks just to balance the herd out a little bit. So I'm certainly looking forward to that in terms of my goals. Like I said, learning about sandhill crane hunting, continuing what we're going to do here in Michigan, but then also seeing what kind of quality deer we can harvest down in Indiana. And then again, getting to the snow goose hunt, man, that's going to be a blast. I just can't wait to get out there and continue doing, what we started last year. That was so much fun.
Yeah, I think as you're saying this, the one thing that I still would like to do that I haven't done yet, and I've been talking about it, I think it was for our 15th anniversary. You got me a fly fishing rod because I really want to learn how to fly fish. And it was suggested to me that I take lessons on the Pier Marquette because that's where my dad's property is located. And so that's the one I'm going to be fishing. So I still would like to get lessons. Eventually, I'd love to learn how to salmon and steelhead fish this river. But for right now, just the brown trout, are excited. I'm not sure if you guys can hear the birds. We have red-headed woodpeckers that have been flying around and just absolutely screeching. And so it's been really fun to watch them. That's a declining bird species due to habitat and some other reasons they don't know. So if you hear some screeching, it's actually not our kids, it's the red-headed woodpeckers. But there's a family of them around.
The other thing that I really want to do is I really want to get up to Minnesota. I really want to go out bird hunting with Drew and Andy.
Drew and Andy, you heard it here.
Drew and Andy. Yep. I want to, if we can get Remy up there too, it might, depending on what we have to use for our transportation up there. But
yeah, I think probably the first time I'd go without her though.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I want to get up there and I want to experience Minnesota. I've never hunted in Minnesota. So
yeah.
So I think it would be a blast. So that's kind of where we're at. And it's an exciting time of year because there's so much going on leading right into the holidays. Christmas is our favorite holiday and it really starts. I mean, if we went home today and I told Heather she could put the tree up, the tree would be up now.
100%. I would have a Halloween tree, and then I'd have a Thanksgiving tree, and then I would leave it up year round. I love my lights.
We got some exciting things going on with our girls. As Heather mentioned, they have a horse show next weekend, but then we also, at the end of the month, Tala, our oldest, is running in the national IBRA race. So in Indianapolis. So that's a new adventure for the Sellons family as well. So got some cool things coming up.
But one of the coolest is hunting season is right around the corner, and always a great time to get the kids outside, get us outside, get us outside working together on some things. So often it's house projects that we're working on, but there's just something different when you go outside and work on putting a tree stand up together, or food plot, or whatever.
Trimming lanes or whatever we have to do.
Yep.
Getting stands set up. So it's funny because Sam was talking about things that he learned through hunting on the podcast this morning, and it made me start thinking back to when I first got into hunting. I think the first time I went out by myself I was 17 years old. And it took me a number of years between that time frame and I harvested my first animal, which is a little 4-point buck, but
hangs in our kitchen.
Yep. And I just remember, you think back to what people think we are as hunters, and what they don't realize is all the work that we do put in, and all of the things that we have to learn about hunting prior to us getting even an opportunity. Geez, it was probably 2 or 3 years before I had a shot at a deer. I remember when I first started, I would, instead of having, just because I was still in high school / early college student, and I had little to no money, so I did a lot of, okay, there's a tree right there, I can get to that branch and just climb up in the tree and get as high off the ground. And I'm just standing on tree branches, to the point where there were some branches that I didn't know if they would even hold me. They weren't very thick, and the trees were swaying just because of my weight. And but that's how we had to hunt, on a limited to no budget. But,
we didn't have the money to go buy tree stands.
But what we also learned is the importance of safety, for one.
Yeah, we did. We always made sure. Well, once we got into the stands, you may not have had the safety harness.
Not when I just climbed up in the trees. But honestly, I didn't get up very high. I probably got up 10 feet at the very most.
I was gonna say, I don't even know so much if you were even 10 feet up.
My focus then, I remember, was climbing up, finding a branch, standing on a branch, and hiding behind the tree itself, with an area where I could draw my bow back and shoot through the around or between branches and stuff like that.
But now
we're,
safety harnesses are not something we
go without. Now we're 15 to 20 feet in the air, and that's the number one priority, safety harnesses. And so Sam was actually talking about that today on the podcast, and it made me think back to those times when I would just jump up in a tree. And like I said, there are times where I would step on a branch and the branch would break out from underneath me, but I always had a hold of something else to secure. Or I was in a tree that was swaying, but it also reminded me of the fact that how important safety and wearing that equipment is, because it falls along the theme of us learning as an outdoorsman. People have asked on social media, how do you improve yourself as an outdoorsman? I think the key is you have to learn. You have to learn about as much stuff as you possibly can, whether it's safety in this case, whether it's your equipment, shoot your bow, shoot your gun, get familiar with it, have a good understanding. Look at the areas that you want to hunt. Do the scouting. Gain an understanding of what type of wildlife you're going to see out there, and where they're coming from, and what they're going to eat, and what are their habits, and what are their patterns, and look at where you're going to set your stands, whether it's in a tree or a ground blind, or it's a homemade built blind. But the importance is making sure that there's enough cover to conceal you. Again, as you hunt, as I've gone through my years of hunting, you learn how important concealment is. You learn how important scent is. You learn how important sound is. One thing I learned this summer on my hog hunt was, smell to a hog is it's way more important to cover your scent up versus your concealment. That first night that Sam and I went out, we were basically just right out in the open in a couple of lawn chairs, and we had a hog come in at 20 yards. He didn't see us, but when the wind swirled, he picked up our scent real quick. So, so learn about your animals, learn about your species, and not only that, but learn from other hunters. And I think that sometimes as hunters, we get stuck on the fact that I'm a hunter, I know my property, that's it. Without taking feedback, and without going on YouTube, and without watching other videos on how people do it. One of the things I learned throughout my years was how to snort wheeze. I used to watch all these hunting programs on Outdoor Channel and Sportsman's Channel, and you would see them using those types of techniques with snort wheezes and with grunts and that sort of thing. And I remember I shot a 6-point one time simply because they responded to my snort wheeze without a device. I just did it with my mouth. I mimicked the sound with my mouth, and he came running right into me, and may not have been a buck that I normally would have shot. He was a smaller 6-point, but at the same time, I thought, man, this is such an accomplishment to bring a deer in so close using just a simple technique from something I learned by watching.
We also didn't have many in the freezer at that point.
We didn't have many in the freezer at that point. I would agree. We didn't have many in the freezer at that point, but that was so cool just to be able to learn that. And so to become a better hunter, you have to learn. Continually learn.
And how much things have changed over the years.
Like I said, I've been hunting for over 30 years now, and I'm still learning. I learned about hog this year. I learned about snow geese this year. We learned about fishing rivers. We're going to learn about crane hunts. Don't enter a hunting season or a hunting opportunity with a closed mind. Always keep an open mind. Always learn as much as you possibly can, so you can share it with your kids, with your wife, with other people, your friends, and that sort of thing. So,
well, I think we went down a ton of different rabbit holes today and covered a lot of really great material. So as your hunting season opens in your areas, be safe, enjoy, make those amazing memories.
Get in the outdoors.
Get outside.
It's so stress relieving.
Yes. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. And as Todd always says,
stay obsessed.